Victoria Chen had been a server at the Grand Sterling restaurant for 3 years. At 24, she moved through the elegant dining room with practiced grace, her blonde hair neatly pulled back, her mint green apron crisp and spotless. She knew every table, every regular customer, every unspoken rule of this world where she served but didn't belong. The Grand Sterling wasn't just any restaurant. It was where the city's elite came to see and be seen. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over white tablecloths. Soft jazz played in the background. Victoria had learned to be invisible here, to anticipate needs before they were spoken, to fade into the background of other people's important moments. She was good at her job. She had to be. The tips from one night at the Grand Sterling paid more than a week at any diner, and Victoria needed every dollar. She was putting herself through community college, studying business management at night, dreaming of one day opening her own small cafe. Something warm and welcoming, where people like her could afford to sit and feel special. It was a Friday evening in October. The restaurant was fully booked. Victoria was assigned to the main dining room, where she'd been serving a lovely elderly couple celebrating their 40th anniversary. She'd just cleared their dessert plates when she noticed him. Table 12. A man sitting alone. He looked to be in his mid-30s, handsome in that polished way that came with money and power. Dark hair swept back, strong jawline, an expensive charcoal suit that probably cost more than Victoria's monthly rent. But it was his expression that caught her attention. He looked completely alone. Not just physically, but deeply, profoundly isolated. He kept checking his watch, glancing at the empty chair across from him, his jaw tightening with each passing minute. Victoria had seen enough stood-up dates to recognize the signs. His name was Marcus Hamilton. She knew because she'd heard the hostess mention it when seating him. He'd reserved the best table in the house, ordered a bottle of wine that cost $600, and had been sitting there for 45 minutes while the chair across from him remained empty. Victoria felt a pang of sympathy. Which or not, rejection hurt the same. She approached with fresh water. "Can I get you anything else, sir?" "No, thank you," he said curtly, not meeting her eyes. His phone buzzed. He looked at it and something shifted in his expression. Pain, then anger, then a carefully constructed mask of indifference. Victoria moved away, giving him privacy. But she watched from across the room as he sat there, that expensive wine untouched, staring at the empty chair like it held all the disappointments of his life. An hour passed. The restaurant was getting busier. Victoria was juggling 6 tables, moving between the kitchen and the dining room with practiced efficiency. She'd just picked up an order when she felt someone bump into her from behind. Victoria stumbled forward and suddenly she was falling, her tray of appetizers flying through the air. She braced for impact, for the crash, for the humiliation. But instead she felt strong hands catch her waist, steadying her. She looked up into Marcus Hamilton's eyes. He'd moved faster than seemed possible, catching her before she hit the ground. "Careful," he said, and for just a moment his mask slipped. She saw genuine concern there. "I'm so sorry," Victoria breathed, mortified. The appetizers were scattered across the floor. Other diners were staring. Her manager was already rushing over, his face tight with anger. "Victoria, my office now," he snapped. "It wasn't her fault," Marcus said firmly. Someone pushed past her. "I saw it happen." The manager's expression changed instantly when he realized who was speaking. "Mr. Hamilton, I apologize for the disturbance." "There's nothing to apologize for. Accidents happen. Though perhaps you should be more concerned about your staff than making a scene in front of your guests." The manager's face reddened. He nodded stiffly and walked away. Victoria stood there, stunned, as other servers rushed to clean up the mess. "Thank you," she said quietly to Marcus. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did," he replied. "I've watched you work tonight. You're good at your job. You didn't deserve to be humiliated for someone else's carelessness." Their eyes met, and something passed between them. A recognition, perhaps, of shared loneliness. Marcus glanced at his watch again, then at the still empty chair. He seemed to make a decision. "What time do you get off work?" he asked. Victoria blinked, caught off guard. 11. Why? "That's 2 more hours. I have a table for two, excellent wine, and apparently no date. When you're finished, if you'd like, join me. Not as my server. As my guest? I couldn't possibly. Why not? I'm sitting here alone feeling sorry for myself, and you're working yourself to exhaustion serving people who probably don't see you. Maybe we both deserve better than that, just for one evening. Victoria's heart raced. This was insane. Customers didn't invite servers to dine with them. There were rules, boundaries, a whole social order that made this impossible. But something in his eyes made her pause. He wasn't asking because he pitied her or because he had inappropriate intentions. He was asking because he was lonely, and he'd seen that she was too. Okay, she heard herself say, when my shift ends. The next 2 hours were the longest of Victoria's life. She moved through her tables on autopilot, hyper-aware of Marcus sitting at table 12, no longer checking his watch, no longer looking at the empty chair. He'd ordered dinner for one, pulled out a book, and seemed content to wait. At 11 o'clock, Victoria clocked out, her hands trembling as she changed out of her uniform into the simple dress she'd worn to work. Nothing fancy, just a plain navy dress she'd bought on sale. She felt ridiculous thinking she could sit across from Marcus Hamilton looking like this. But when she approached the table, his face lit up with genuine warmth. You came. I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't, she admitted, sliding into the chair across from him. He poured her a glass of wine. To unexpected turns of events, they talked and talked. Marcus asked about her life, her dreams, her studies. Not in the polite way people ask when they don't really care, but with genuine curiosity. He wanted to know about her business classes, her idea for a cafe, what kind of atmosphere she'd create. In turn, Victoria learned that Marcus was the CEO of Hamilton Enterprises, a real estate development company his grandfather had founded. He'd inherited the business at 28 when his father died unexpectedly. For the past 7 years, he'd devoted himself entirely to work, building the company into something even bigger than his grandfather had dreamed. And your personal life? Victoria asked gently. Marcus's expression darkened. What personal life? Tonight was supposed to be my third date with someone my board member set me up with. Caroline. Beautiful, accomplished, perfectly suitable. She texted an hour after I got here. She met someone else, someone more fun, less consumed by work. Can't say I blame her. That's awful. I'm sorry. Don't be. She was right. I am consumed by work. I wake up thinking about deals. I go to sleep reviewing contracts. I can't remember the last time I did something just because it made me happy. Victoria understood more than he knew. I work 2 jobs and take classes at night. I haven't had a day off in 6 months. I can't remember the last time I did something just for me either. They sat in silence for a moment. 2 people from completely different worlds finding common ground in their shared exhaustion. Why do we do it? Marcus asked. Push ourselves until there's nothing left. Because we're afraid, Victoria said quietly. Afraid of failing. Afraid of not being good enough. Afraid of ending up with nothing? Marcus looked at her with something like wonder. You're 24 and you understand things it took me until 36 to figure out. Struggle teaches you things success never will. He laughed, a real laugh that transformed his face. You should teach a class. I know a lot of successful people who've forgotten that. They talked until the restaurant closed. The staff was cleaning around them, but neither seemed to notice. They talked about dreams and fears, about the weight of expectations and the courage it takes to be vulnerable. Victoria told him about her father, who'd worked 3 jobs to give her opportunities, who'd died of a heart attack when she was 19, leaving her with nothing but debt and determination. Marcus told her about the pressure of living up to a legacy, of being expected to be perfect, of never being allowed to just be human. I have an idea, Marcus said as they finally stood to leave. It's going to sound crazy. After tonight, I'm ready for crazy. Tomorrow is Saturday. I'm supposed to attend a charity gala. Big fancy event. Hundreds of people, all expecting me to smile and network and pretend I care about their investment opportunities. I hate these things. But what if I had someone with me who reminded me why we're really there? The charity supports education programs for underprivileged kids. You understand that world better than anyone in that room will. Are you asking me to a gala? I'm asking if you'd help me remember what matters. And maybe if you're willing, I could help you too. You're studying business. That room will be full of people who could teach you things, open doors, show you how the world really works. Victoria should have said no. This was moving too fast, crossing too many lines. But when she looked at Marcus, she didn't see a wealthy CEO. She saw someone who'd caught her when she fell, who'd protected her from humiliation, who'd spent 3 hours talking to her like she mattered. "Okay," she said. "I'll go." The next evening, Marcus sent a car for her. Inside was a dress, elegant and beautiful, but not ostentatious. The perfect choice. When Victoria arrived at the gala, Marcus was waiting at the entrance. He offered his arm, and together they walked into a world of wealth and power. Victoria watched Marcus transform throughout the night. With her beside him, asking genuine questions about the charity's work, engaging with people about substance rather than status, he relaxed. His smiles became real. His conversations had depth. She saw people respond to the change in him, drawn to his authenticity, and Victoria learned. She watched how deals were made with handshakes and subtle nods, how relationships were currency, how power moved through rooms like water, finding its level. It was an education no classroom could provide. "You're a natural," Marcus whispered at one point. "Half the people here have asked who you are." "I'm just being myself. That's exactly why they're asking." 3 months passed. What started as one unexpected evening became regular meetings. Coffee before Victoria's classes, lunch when Marcus could steal away from the office, long walks through the city where they could talk without the weight of their different worlds pressing down on them. Marcus began attending her business classes with her, sitting in the back row, learning alongside students a decade younger. Victoria started meeting with Marcus's team, offering insights about what regular people actually wanted and needed from businesses. Marcus's company began to shift. Instead of just luxury developments, they started including affordable housing components. Instead of pushing out local businesses, they created programs to support them. Victoria's perspective was changing how Hamilton Enterprises operated, and somewhere along the way, they fell in love. Not the dramatic, explosive kind. The quiet, steady kind that builds between two people who see each other clearly and choose each other anyway. One evening, they were back at the Grand Sterling. Marcus had reserved table 12. Victoria sat across from him, no longer a server, but his equal, his partner, his best friend. "Do you remember that night?" Marcus asked, gesturing to the chair she now occupied. "When you accidentally sat down and changed everything?" Victoria smiled. "I remember a lonely man sitting at an empty table and somehow finding the courage to invite a stranger into his world. Best decision I ever made." He reached across the table, taking her hand. "You taught me that success without connection is just emptiness, that all the money and power in the world means nothing if you have no one to share it with. And you taught me that kindness exists everywhere, even in places I thought were just about money and status, that people are just people, whether they're serving tables or running companies." Marcus pulled out a small box. Inside was a ring, simple and beautiful. "I know we come from different worlds. I know people will say this happened too fast, that we're too different. But you've shown me what really matters. Will you marry me, Victoria? Will you keep showing me how to be human?" Victoria's eyes filled with tears. She thought about that night, stumbling with her tray, expecting to fall. She thought about the hands that caught her, the conversation that saved them both. "Yes," she whispered. Yes, they were married 6 months later. Victoria finished her business degree and became a partner in Hamilton Enterprises, heading their community development division. Together, they built affordable housing, supported small businesses, created opportunities for people like Victoria's father. Years later, when people asked how they met, they'd smile and say it started with an empty chair and a chance encounter. But they both knew it was more than that. It was two lonely people choosing to see each other. Two different worlds learning they weren't so different after all. Two hearts finding home in the most unexpected place. Sometimes the best things in life come from accidents. From falling and finding someone there to catch you. From sitting in the wrong chair at the perfect moment. From being brave enough to say yes when everything tells you to say no. Victoria never opened her small cafe. She built something bigger instead. With Marcus beside her, She built a legacy of kindness, of opportunity, of remembering that everyone deserves a seat at the table. And table 12 at the Grand Sterling remained their favorite spot. A reminder that magic can happen anywhere to anyone, if we're brave enough to stay open to it. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that love can be found in the most unexpected places, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories of hope and second chances. Leave a comment about a time an unexpected encounter changed your life. Your story might inspire someone else to stay open to possibilities.